This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by British and Commonwealth champion Fabio Wardley here in London. Fabio, firstly, how are you? It's fight week.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How's things? How you getting on?
I'm very well, thank you. As I said, fight week, a bit of a change of day. Sunday night boxing, we will see. How are you feeling ahead of your bout with Frazer Clarke?
Yeah, good. It's always interesting. Show being on a Sunday. Not my first one. I've done Sundays before, so it messes up your week a bit. Makes it all feel a bit funny. Your Fridays, your Saturday, and things like that. They're all mixed around, but it's all good. I'm looking forward to it.
I watched the face-off between the pair of you and Johnny Nelson last night, and I know in the build-up it was mentioned kind of his amateur pedigree and how much of a benefit you feel like that should be to him and how that should play a part in terms of the odds and him maybe being more of a favourite with the perception of the public. Do you think that irks him? Do you think that gets underneath his skin when you bring that up?
Yeah, he's definitely pissed off about it a bit. That I'm the betting favourite. The general conception is that I'll walk through him. To be honest, I think a lot of people are basing it off his professional performances to date. Obviously, they haven't been great. So I think the comparative, especially over the last few fights of mine compared to his, I think those immediate comparisons are what people are looking at and thinking, hang on, he's not really shown much. So when he comes up against someone like me who's constantly improving, it's going to be an easy night's work.
How much do you feel like you have developed, especially since you've linked up with Ben Davison?
Yeah, massively, massively. Obviously, being here has been a huge impact on me. You've seen that with me. You've seen it with all of Ben's fighters, from me, AJ, Lee Wood, the lot. With all you can look at us from our fights either before Ben or when we started with Ben to where we are now and things. And it's been a mad ride. So I'm really happy with my progress. Sorry, my improvements, and they're just getting better and better.
When you watch Frazer Clarke, when you study him, do you feel underwhelmed by what he's done so far in the professional ranks?
Yeah, I'm definitely underwhelmed by what he's done in the professional ranks. I do believe that he has more in him. He definitely has more skills. There's more capacity there. There's more for him to. There's more he can do, but I don't know. Something seems to be lacking whenever he steps into that ring professionally. So maybe he's found a way to turn that corner. Maybe he hasn't. Who knows?
Again, going back to the face-off with Johnny Nelson, I saw you both talk about needing to go into deep water, something which maybe Frazer hasn't had to do so far in his pro career. Do you feel like that's going to be the case on Saturday night? It's going to be sink or swim for him?
Yeah, 1000%. I think it's sink or swim, make or break for him as well, because if he loses against me, then it puts his career as a whole in a really questionable place, to be honest. I think it really puts a ceiling on him, a cap that he's, I don't know, if a British level fighter, maybe even a bit lower. So it's all or nothing for him.
He mentioned that he feels like when you attack and you come forward, you're a bit wild with the way that you approach a fight. Obviously, with the David Adelaide fight, it wasn't necessarily something we saw as much, but I think it's fair to say, but maybe in the past, especially when you was earlier stages in your career, it was something we did see. Do you feel like that's a fair comment or unfair from him?
No, that's fair. It's fair. If he assesses some of my fights through and through, some of the finishes have been wild. Like I don't disagree with that, but I'm not that same fighter. I'm a different fighter. Like you said, if you look at my Adelaide performance, it wasn't a wild finish. It was a calculated performance all the way through, and that's the fighter I am currently, not whoever I was a year ago or whatever fight you're looking at previously.
You've been adamant in the build-up to this that if this ends with a stoppage by any means necessary, how does that come about?
It's hard to say, isn't it? It depends what opening there is. It depends what opening I take. Like I've finished fights with my right hand, with my left hand, however. So whenever I deem it necessary, whenever I find the gap and think, yep, okay, this is the moment, I'll pick it. And like you've always said in my fights, I'm a clinical finisher. So don't give me too much opportunity.
Do you feel like beyond Saturday, that's the end of your trajectory on the British scene?
Yeah, I don't think there's much left. I think I've capped off all the real up and comers that are anywhere within the kind of region of me, really. There's no one else after Frazer. There'll be no one else left really of worth me having a fight with that makes enough sense for both parties, and I don't think there's nothing really that will go together. And I'll be 18 fights or something by then, so I'm well ranked with like 4 or 5 governing bodies. So it's time for me to move into the international scene now.
Just one more thing with Sunday, sorry, I wanted to bring up. I did an interview with Eddie Hearn last week. I asked him about your fight.
Yeah,
Now,
snake. I saw that. I'm not happy with him, Ed. Nah, look, I don't mind. He said I did see it, and he said he said it was a close fight, and it was like a pick him in 50-50. And to be honest, look, I'm not against it. It's not the. I know a lot of people are saying it's all clear cut and this, that, and the other, and I get it that there's variables on both sides. I've got the professional, he's got the amateur experience, and which one's going to play out. I get it. So it is a 50-50, but fucking, come on, Ed, edge it to me. Like, give me 51 and in 49 or something. So,
I was about to say, do you think that's just kind of the nature of a boxing business, as this isn't with a matchroom show that maybe he doesn't feel the need to side with you, despite obviously the success you both have shared together previously?
yeah, maybe, who knows? It's not. I'm not that fussed, but it's not gonna. I wasn't crying myself to sleep. Don't worry. He can just don't try and call me when that 5v5 comes up and he thinks, Fab, come on, they've got a bunch of heavyweights. Can you come over? I'd fucking have that, mate.
If the money's right, man. If the money's right.
I'm joking. Well, I don't know.
On that 5 versus 5, I just want to get your thoughts on it. Some rumoured fights, Zhang and Deontay Wilder. What do you make of that?
Yeah, good fight. Good fight, because obviously both coming off losses, so a good kind of, I don't know if you call it 50-50, but a good kind of mix of a fight to then throw them, whoever the winner is, back in that Saudi mix and in another big fight. So it's good. To be honest, it's just good to see big names fighting each other, coming off a win, coming off a loss, however you see it. It's just great to see all these big names mixing in around each other.
Hrgovic, Daniel Dubois has also been mentioned for that bill. Gain your take.
Yeah, really good fight. Really good fight. Daniel's on a obviously good buzz after his last win. Hrgovic is he's always a funny one, isn't he? Because everyone's always said of how good he is and how much he can do in the sport and stuff, but he's never really seemed to like properly kick on. I don't know, he had injuries and bits and bobs and things, so I'm not sure. But the Daniel fight, if he comes through that and wins, I think that'll be the kind of last stone for him to really be in the thick of it, in the mix.
I also want to get kind of an understanding of Anthony Joshua's camp in and amongst Ben Davison's gym, if you've been able to lean on him for any advice, especially when it comes to the Frazer fight, because he'll know Frazer as well as anyone, having spent so many years travelling the world with GB with him.
Yeah, no, well, look, I have my moments when I'm around AJ and stuff. It's not loads, to be honest. Ben's very good at making sure they get their own allocated individual time, so there's no massive amounts of overlap. You get your attention, and when it's you, you're focused on you. But there's been times I'm around him and stuff. But he's a good stand-up guy. He's not gonna not snitch on Frazer, but he's not gonna like feed me any side information. He just said, look, it's a good fight, and it'll be great to watch and great to see who comes out on top. That's all he's ever said about it. And I've never pried him for extra information at all. Like, I'm not that type of person, and he's not the type of person to just free that up either.
Also saw Dillian Whyte return against Christian Hammer. I'm sure from his comments he was disappointed the way that the fight ended, but he has returned with a victory. What did you make, and where does he now fit into the heavyweight fold?
Yeah, good luck. Good to see him back boxing. Good to see him back in the ring, throwing hands. And knowing Dill, he definitely wanted a bit more time in the ring, rounds to go through, shake off some rust and bits and bobs. But it's the way you go with some fights like that. When you get opponents in on relatively short notice and things, they're not always the most keen to stick it out. But I think it throws him back in the mix. Obviously, there's so many fights to be made now with the Saudi and everything that's going on over there that you can just put him against any of those guys, really. And the one thing with Dill is you're always going to get entertainment, no matter what fight, no matter who he's fighting. You've never seen him in a boring fight. He's always entertaining. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the Saudi want as well. They want to have the big fights, but entertaining fights. They don't want boring stuff on, and he's the perfect man for that.
Final one from me, Fabio. Kongo, your campmate, faces Florian Marku on Sunday. Again, how's he been looking? How does he come away with? I imagine you'll say a victory on Sunday. Yeah,
look, he's looking great. It's probably the best I've seen Chris. Sharp, focused, switched on, just real like directed at the task at hand, and knows what he needs to do. So I'm really confident in him. I think he's going to do really well and put on a performance. He keeps saying he wants to steal the show. So kind of 50-50 hoping he does, and 50-50 hoping he doesn't.
Fabio, best of luck on Sunday. I won't catch you before. I'm sure I'll catch you after in the playoffs when West Brom are playing Ipswich at some point. Thank you for speaking to me, Ben.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.